Hi there, Nanashi here. So, I'm doing a bit of a different video today. I say that, but what even do I do on this channel exactly? I just kinda do whatever the hell I want, I guess. Anyways, for today I wanted to make a top 5 list of video game series I really enjoy. At some point in your life, if you're a JRPG fan at least, you must have heard of the Tales of Game series at some point. It is a pretty popular yet niche JRPG series, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's been talked about a lot in recent years. Probably because it's been a while since the new game came out, but hey, looky here, Tales of Arise is coming! Anyways, I'll preface this by saying what all top 5 YouTube channels say pretty much. This is all my opinion, and I do think I can have some controversial opinions when it comes to favorite Tales of games. I'll also add that there are some Tales of games I have not played. Those games are Tales of Destiny, Tales of Eternia, Tales of Xillia, Tales of Heart, any Tales of game that wasn't localized into English, like Tales of Rebirth, and finally Tales of Berseria. I own Xillia, but I haven't played it yet. It's on my to-play once I get finished playing Vesperia Definitive Edition completely. With that out of the way, here's my number 5 and likely my most controversial take. Number 5, Tales of Legendia. Now, Legendia was not my first Tales of game, so if you're thinking nostalgia contributed to this, then wait for me to talk about Symphonia. Anyways, I feel like Legendia is the black sheep of the Tales series in pretty much every respect. The art style looks a bit different, there's no multiplayer. The battle system is left and right with no 3D field like other Tales of games of the time. And the biggest being that it wasn't made by Team Destiny or Team Symphonia. It was made by Team Melphas. A lot of people dislike Legendia for this reason, saying it doesn't feel like a true Tales of game. But that's actually why it really stood out for me. Also, Legendia's soundtrack is by far the most boppin' of the Tales of games. I mean, have you heard this? Another thing that really contributes to my likening of Legendia was the characters. I really liked them, and I even liked the love triangle bullshit that was going on. Okay, I say that, but I actually was just Team Chloe the whole time because, Shirley's Senel's sister-in-law, and the game continues to say that as the reason for Senel not being with Shirley despite her having a gigantic crush on him that could possibly destroy the entire world. The biggest thing I like about Legendia is probably its post-game content. All of the characters get their own storyline to play after beating the main game. And while I was already attached to most characters by the time I finished the main campaign, the post-game content really made me become attached to the entire crew. Minus Shirley, because she a bit of a freak. I loved the Mariness, and I think another thing that contributed to my likening for Legendia is that it is very marine focused. It's all about that sweet water and otters, baby! Also, the Bantam Bouncers have a Jesse and James dynamic, which made seeing them really fun. When they were introduced, they even had a singing number. Jesus Christ! Beauty is power! Great Bantam! Beauty is sin! Wonder Bantam! The game is incredibly outdated, so I could definitely see recent Tales of fans having a difficult transition into Legendia, and seeing as it was never a really popular Tales of game, I doubt it'd ever get a remake, so sadly you have to have a PS2 to be able to play it. But I think it's a really fun title with a charming cast. Now, my next one is also probably controversial, but my number 4 spot goes to Tales of Symphonia, Dawn of a New World. People hate that game, saying it ruined the Symphonia story and isn't worth playing. And time again, when asked why does this sequel suck so much, it's contributed to the protagonist, Emile Castanier. Now, I understand why people hate him. He's got a bit of a Luc von Fabre situation going on where at the start of the game he can be hard to stomach. Luc's case had him be a whiny, rich boy brat that wants everything handed to him on a silver plate, while Emile's is that he's a coward. A lot of times in the story, he shies away from doing things, gets scared, and goes into really self-deprecating speeches. He also likes to say courage is a magic that turns dreams into reality a lot, which really pisses people off. But I I actually like Emil as a character. I'd go as far as to say he was my favorite protag until I played Vesperia and fell in love with Yuri's titty window. Emil is insufferable at the start for people, but I found him to be a really relatable character. I liked his progression into becoming a stronger person, protecting the things he loves. There's some spoiler territory I will not go into, but I even liked that bit of his character. I used to RP Emil and Norma from Legendia, which means I really liked them as characters. I also liked the Pokemon monster collecting thing, even though I will admit probably would have been better if they opted for the original battle systems for human characters. The thing I didn't like about Dawn of the New World was that it takes forever to get human characters to join you, and that you have to play as Emil or Marta. And as someone that would play Tales of games with friends or family, that sucked. It especially sucked when I would play with my nephews, and one of them would be like, "You play Marta because you're the girl," which granted none of them knew I was trans for one, so okay. But also the character I hated in Dawn of the New World was Marta, who I had to play as for the most part if playing with my nephews. Emil's fun to play as, and I think the thing about Tales games that makes them fun is the ability to play as all of the characters. So being limited to two playstyles for a while was disheartening. That said, I think Dawn of the New World is a great Tales game in its own right, and no matter how much people may bitch and scream about it ruining Symphonia, I think the plot for it was good for a sequel. It also helped with making it be more noticeably connected to Fantasia, which as a lore fan I can appreciate. Alright, now moving along to number 3, Tales of Graces. Tales of Graces is probably my favorite Tales of game in terms of its battle mechanics, being done by the Destiny team, which is seen to be the more complex and interesting battle mechanic team. Graces starts off with a childhood arc, which understandably I could see turning some people off from. Playing as a prepubescent tyke for a couple of hours without all the good game stuff that comes with the adult arc. But it set up part of what I like about Graces, the dynamic between Sophie, Asbel, and Richard. I will, without hesitation, say they are my favorite dynamic in Tales history. They are my OT3. I love their friendship. When Richard became the big baddie, I would be screaming at the screen, wishing to go back to the days when everyone was all buddy-buddy, as well as seeing that, despite being the main villain, Richard still loved Asbel and crew a lot. Most of the characters in Graces are fun to play as, such as Cheria, my favorite knife-flinging magician maid babe, Sophie, the adorable grappler, or Pascal and her quirky mage skills. I also found some of the issues addressed in Graces to be very real, which is very prevalent in most Tales of games, but I definitely found myself during the story nodding my head and going, "Oh, they're referring to this!" Graces is genuinely a great game by all accounts. The battle system is good, the characters are endearing, and the story is great, if not a bit points taken off for the childhood arc, making it a slog for some newer players to get through. Now, my top 2 games. It's hard to really whittle down what one to make as number 2. I love both of them a lot, but for right now at least, I think the number 2 spot goes to Symphonia. Tales of Symphonia was my first Tales of game. My gateway drug that kept me wanting more. It's probably the one I've replayed the most as a result. I have very good memories of playing it in elementary school, getting to the water dungeon on Easter, or how I would pretend to be sick so I could stay home and play more Symphonia. Symphonia is a very relaxing game, and I still find its sprite art style endearing. The cast are all pretty solid, and for characters that didn't get too much screen time, like Regal in terms of backstory, I think Dawn of the New World bumped up the characterizations anyways, so everyone in the crew are pretty solid. Colette was my waifu in elementary school. I absolutely adored her, and still do. I also, looking back on it, appreciate that it was a game where the protagonist isn't actually the chosen one. It's his best friend, and a girl at that. It also addressed some pretty serious stuff that I think helped shape me into the person I am today, with its lookout on things like religion, racism, etc. It can be a heavy game when it comes to those subjects, but I think overall it is the best gateway Tales of game. And to this day, I am grateful that I saw it in a Hollywood video games department and was like, that looks cool. I think most people recognize Symphonia as a great Tales of game, if not the greatest Tales of game. It's a game that has withstood the sands of time. To this day, it's fun to come back and play it, whether on the GameCube or with its remake. It feels like going to an old friend's house, familiar and welcoming. Its puzzle segments also weren't hair-pullingly frustrating like Legendia, and I had fun playing it. As a kid, I didn't manage to beat a lot of JRPGs, despite playing a ton, but Symphonia was the perfect middle ground of difficult and easy to help a baby diaper doo-doo like me get through it in elementary school, while still having a lot of challenges for 27-year-old me to come back to and play, such as the do not use items until a good way into the game run, or the only use default weapons challenges that actually reward you with something. Symphonia's world always had something to do, and I never found myself getting bored of it, even as a child with a short attention span. And I think that really tells you just how great a game it is. However, despite all the nostalgia and love I have for it, one game manages to top it. Number 1, Tales of Vesperia. Remember how I said I was an Emil fanboy until I saw Yuri's window titties? Some backstory. I've never owned an Xbox and always wanted to play Vesperia. For a good part of my life, Vesperia was the one game I couldn't play, my antithesis. I also, as a child fully into the Tales fandom, saw how popular Yuri was, and how hailed he was as the best Tales of character. Back when I was in high school, I hated Yuri. I was like, Emil is better, despite the fact I never actually played Vesperia, and because I couldn't judge Yuri. For a while, Yuri was unobtainable to me. A status of look but do not touch, and it frustrated me. When Definitive Edition got announced for the Switch, I just put my gay hands together and was like, yes, finally the time has come. And I loved it. For a game that came out like, I don't know when the game came out. I'm gonna say 2011, I don't know. But it came out a long time ago. And its subjects are really prevalent in this day and age. The game is all about climate change. Like, you can't not play Tales of Vesperia and be like, oh, they're talking about climate change. And Yuri is honestly, as a protagonist, he's an Antifa protagonist. And just Yuri in general is like a really good character because he's very flawed. Like, he murders people. And the game doesn't be like, oh, he's justified in that. They're like, no, there are consequences for this. You get caught as being a murderer by Estelle, and then you're like, oh shit, she caught me. But it's like, that's part of what I like about Yuri. Like, Yuri knows that he's doing bad things, but he's kind of like justifying it to himself. He's like, well, these are shitty people, and if I let them go on, they're going to continue grabbing these people, putting them in ranches, or not ranches, that's Symphonia, putting them in like dungeons and being like racist pieces of shit, classist pieces of shit. And like, I watched the movie and I really liked it. I really liked seeing Yuri's character. Like, he's very dedicated to his views to the point where he does bad things. And I think that's also why people like Luke as well, because Luke has done some stupid shit in Tales of the Abyss, but became a better character as a result. And that's why I like Yuri. And honestly, all of the team members in Tales of Vesperia I really like. I wish there was a bit more story on some of them. Like, I wanted to see a bit more of Carol. I really liked Carol, but like, Carol is still a good character at the end of the day. I really liked Estelle. Like, Estelle is great, and I like how the game didn't have it be like force-feeding a romance story between Estelle and Yuri. It was like, Estelle likes Yuri, but Yuri's not really into her. He kinda doesn't want to date anyone. He's actually kinda gay for Flynn. but he won't admit it. And then they kind of paired Estelle and Rita together, and like to the point that the seiyus make jokes about it. It's like, what I really like about Vesperia is like it touches on all of these parts that I really like, and like I just really like the character dynamics. Like Judith, I love Judith. Judith is like a great character, and we need Judith in our days. Like right now, we need Judith. We need her. We need Duke. We need them to end freaking climate change. And I think that's what I like about Vesperia. Like, I can look at it today, seeing like all the shit that's going on around the world, and I'm like, hey, I can relate to that. The world is dying. Let's do something about it. Also, it has a dog that like fights with a knife and has a pipe, and and there's like a quest line where you have to go around the world pissing with your dog. Like, can you say that there's any other game out there that has a dog piss quest? You can't. That's only Tales of Vesperia. So, in the end, yeah, Tales of Vesperia is my favorite Tales of game. I'm still playing it to this day. Like, right now, it's on my Switch, and I'm still playing it, and I'm like, hey, I should probably play Tales of Xillia, but then I'm like, no, I just want to see more of my husbando, Yuri. Like, he became my husbando. Like, I love him. He is my boy. Like, and the fact that the Tales of series doesn't shy away from, like, giving us Yuri fan service. Like that one time when they did, like, the bathhouse fake out where it made you think that they were showing off, like, a girl bathing, but then it turned out to be Yuri because he has long hair. And then I was like, thank you, Namco! Thank you for giving me more Yuri content. And I'm sorry, I'm just a huge Yuri fanboy, and I love Tales of Vesperia, and I think everyone should play Tales of Vesperia, especially right now. If you don't think that climate change is a thing, maybe if you play Vesperia, maybe you will get the point. Anyway, I don't know why it went political there, but Tales of Vesperia is a really good game. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I didn't put Tales of the Abyss in here. And I like Tales of the Abyss, and I think it's a good game. But it didn't really resound with me as much. Like, I don't know. I don't know why it didn't resonate with me. But I also have played Tales of Zestiria, and I like Tales of Zestiria, especially McLeo and Sorry, I think is his name. I'm sorry. But that game's very slow and kind of boring to get into, so I'm sorry. But yeah, that's my Tales of top 5 game list, and I know it's very controversial. I know I put in like, what, 3? Did I put in 3 games that people don't like? I don't know if people don't like Graces, but I like Graces. Anyway, I put in some games people don't like as my top 5, and I'm sure people are like, why did you put Tales of Legendia in here, but not Tales of the Abyss? Why did you put Tales of Symphonia Dawn of the New World in here and not Tales of Zestiria? Well, I'm gonna just say, it's my list. Get over it. Thanks for watching. Bye!